Donkey Kong, everyone's favorite member of the DK crew. Sometimes he's got his own frickin' country, other times he's a ruthless, mean gorilla, and other times he's an abused circus animal. Today, we're gonna look at Donkey Kong's character in every game he appears in and rank him from worthless to elite. Going all the way back to 1981, the original Donkey Kong arcade game sees him take a more antagonistic role. He yoinks Mario's girlfriend Lady, drags her to the top of a construction site, and hucks barrels down at him to trip him up. There is the whole debate on whether or not this is Donkey Kong or Cranky Kong, but for the sake of this video, we're going to take him at face value and say this version of the grown Donkey Kong is pretty capable and definitely a big bad monkey. Just like the last game, Donkey Kong Jr. has some controversy over which Donkey Kong is the real one, but the one that looks like the rest we're ranking in this video takes a sizable step back compared to last time. Mario captures him, locks him in a cage, whips him, and tries to shock his son, and all he can do is stare out from behind bars and pray for his underage savior. Yeah, it's about as worthless as he could be. In Donkey Kong 3, he returns to being a villain, but now Jumpman Mario is replaced with Stanley, some random exterminator that was called to stop DK from wrecking a greenhouse. He's nowhere near as iconic as Mario, so losing to this pleb isn't the greatest of looks, but I gotta give credit where it's due, he's still the big bad monkey. And yes, I know the trilogy's been ported numerous times, but I'm not gonna rank all those re-releases because the placements would be the exact same. Donkey Kong Jr. Math is a learning tool with gameplay that resembles Donkey Kong Jr., pretty self-explanatory. But now, DK himself is stepping up and being a pretty good father, tutoring his son in a subject he struggles in. Not being playable or an adversary though, he's gotta go barely does anything. He holds up a sign with a number, how much can we really glaze the guy? Donkey Kong Circus is a Game & Watch exclusive where Mario straight up abuses and humiliates the giant ape. He makes him balance on a barrel, juggle pineapples, and laughs in his face when he gets burned. As impressive as it is for DK to have that level of balance, not standing up to Mario and just taking the mistreatment makes him look pretty darn worthless. Donkey Kong Hockey is another Game & Watch title, but this one has Donkey Kong competing with Mario in a good old-fashioned Pong ripoff skin to be hockey. The console actually has two detached controllers, and a second player could be Donkey Kong, which makes him an average playable character. Now we get to the good stuff. The first Donkey Kong Country on Super Nintendo is peak 2D platforming. The levels are well designed and challenging as fuck. The environments are super organic and full, the 3D look and art style is beautiful on the hardware, and it pushed Donkey Kong from being an obscure Mario villain to the forefront of his own platforming series that rivals that of the Plumber. Plot-wise, it's nothing special. A group of crocs called the Kremling steal his entire banana horde and really piss him off, making him spring into action to go kick some reptilian ass. Him and Diddy Kong are the only playable characters, and while he's less agile, he makes up for it in strength. The two reclaim DK Island and defeat the great King K. Rool, who's an impressive adversary in himself, and makes Donkey Kong look hella capable. It'd be crazy to put this one anywhere but elite! Donkey Kong Land is basically a watered-down version of the first DKC game. You play as Donkey and Diddy the entire way through, and they save the day no problem. If the last one got elite, I think it's only fair to put this one up there with it. Donkey Kong Country 2 is suffixed Diddy's Conquest for a reason, because before the game even starts, Donkey Kong gets kidnapped and needs Diddy and Dixie to step up and save him. You don't even see the Great Ape in-game until the final boss, where he's all tied up and occasionally pops into frame looking absolutely dumbfounded at what's happening. But after Diddy and Dixie stun K. Rool, Donkey Kong breaks himself out of captivity and smacks him into next Tuesday. Wait, he could have broken himself out this entire time? A little sooner would have been nice, dude. Thanks for nothing. I mean, he did land the fatal blows, so I think I have to give him the smallest bit of credit. He barely does anything. Just like the first Donkey Kong Land, the second follows the events of the corresponding country game to a T, so barely does anything. Like its predecessor, Donkey Kong Country 3 has DK get kidnapped early on, but this time Diddy's captured too, so they have to rely on Dixie and her toddler cousin Kiddy Kong to come to the rescue. They pull through, and Donkey Kong is very impressed with them. Yeah, I don't care. You haven't done shit since '94, dude. I couldn't care less what you think. Worthless. Donkey Kong himself isn't actually in the third land game. Imagine buying this for your dosage of DK and he's not even there. I'd be swearing up a storm. Worthless. Donkey Kong 64 is one of the easiest elites in the entire video. At the start, all his bananas get stolen, and his 4 fellow Kong pals get kidnapped, so he goes in for the rescue, is the main playable character, and explores this massive 3D world collecting all kinds of shit. There are other playable Kongs later in the game, but Donkey's the driving force behind everything, and definitely earns a spot in elite. Donkey Konga is a bongo-based rhythm game with some sick Nintendo-inspired beats. DK's the main guy here, and he and Diddy go on tour to become famous musicians. A very simple premise, but it does the job just fine, and the gameplay is really fun and Donkey Kong themed, making this a pretty savage look for DK. And since the second game rehashes the same shit on a different day, it's going up there with it. Can we take a second to acknowledge how fucking stupid the premise of Mario vs. Donkey Kong is? DK sees an ad for a Mario toy on TV and really wants one. First off, why? You guys hate each other. He literally locked you in a cage and whipped you. Why do you have hearts in your eyes when you see a toy version of him? Makes no fucking sense. When he finds out the store sold out, he gets pissed and ransacks the nearest manufacturing plant to steal a whole crap ton of them. From there, Mario goes after him, retrieves all the toys, then laughs in his face after he thwarts his plans. A certified dick move. And it makes this giant ape do as giant apes do. He gets mad, grabs a couple toads, and climbs a super high tower, which Mario, of course, rescues them from. But after DK loses and he's crying about it, Mario decides to try and cheer him up by giving him one of the toys. So he still gets his way, even after putting civilian lives in danger and committing grand theft. Love the message you're sending here, guys. He honestly looks pretty incompetent throughout the game. His motive is really lackluster, he gets stopped no problem, and gets what he wants by being a crybaby at the end. By name, though, he's still the prominently featured Big Bad Ape. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat takes the bongos from the Donkey Konga games to all new heights, and makes them a viable control scheme for a platforming game. Nuts. Smacking around enemies as a giant monkey has never felt more OP, and maneuvering the stages themselves is pretty seamless and satisfying. Plot-wise, he's quite impressive too. He goes around freeing other gorilla tribes that were possessed, being the good Samaritan that he is, and it makes for a super strong all-around look. Elite. King of Swing opens with Cranky putting some super valuable medals away for safekeeping in the middle of a fucking field, and after K. Rool swoops in and steals them, Donkey swings into action, Evil Steve Irwins his ass, and allows the festivities to continue. He's the main hero, but the stakes are a lot lower compared to his other protagonistic roles, and with a less impactful feel overall, it can't quite keep up with the elites. I like Pretty Savage here. March of the Minis is mostly the same as the original game, but now Donkey's motive makes a hell of a lot more sense. Rather than just wanting some random toy, Pauline shows up for some ribbon-cutting ceremony and chooses Mario's toy over the one that DK made, and this sets them off to commit kidnapping. Okay, now it's justified. Events play out the same way though. DK is fought as a boss in each world, and at the end he loses, but is cheered up by the hero showing sympathy. Another big bad gorilla man. Jungle Climber's a sequel to King of Swing, and plot-wise his role is pretty similar, but now he travels with Diddy Kong to help out a bit, which would water down the placement, but since K. Rool is much more menacing this time around, I'll keep it up and Pretty Savage. Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, the walking meme, is basically Mario Kart if nobody tried and they wanted controls to be as cumbersome as possible. It's a mid-launch title racing game for the Wii, and Donkey Kong's one of many playable characters, nothing all that special about him, so playable but average. Minis March Again is a DSiWare game that features essentially the same premise and resolve as the previous games, so another pretty average villain role. Miniland Mayhem has Donkey Kong yet again getting pissed at a product not being in stock. Just wait until he hears about the Switch too. Another standard Mario vs. DK role. Donkey Kong Country Returns is the great revival of DK platformers, and it's one of the best games in the genre to this day. It takes the classic DKC style and evolves it to modern platforms flawlessly, keeping that trademark difficulty intact and breathing new life into the gameplay like never before. Donkey's the main playable character with a more versatile and practical moveset than ever, and Diddy's treated more as a jetpack power-up than a standalone orangutan. In two-player mode though, they're controlled separately, which is an awesome addition. This is a stellar look for Donkey Kong that banana slams itself into an elite tier. Mario and Donkey Kong Minis on the Move is a short little digital game for the 3DS that features the two working together for once to run their own carnival. Yeah, that's about it. It's not much of a game, so I can't give it more credit than it barely does anything. Tropical Freeze follows up DKC Returns in the best possible way, with fresh environments, improved gameplay with new Kongs and fun abilities, and somehow even better design levels. This might be my favorite 2D platforming game ever made, and Donkey Kong being the central simian behind it all gives me yet another way too easy placement. Elite. Tipping Stars is the most recent Mario vs. Donkey Kong game, and it starts off like all the others, but after Mario beats the game, it's revealed that DK's not actually the bad guy. Instead, he's trying to lure Mario to a surprise party, which is pretty sweet of him and very well executed. He accomplishes what he wants and isn't a villain. I'm gonna toss him up in Savage tier. Mario Maker features Donkey Kong as one of the amiibo skins for the 8-bit gameplay style, and since that's all there is to it, he's going worthless. In Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Donkey himself's not featured in the main story, but you do fight Rabbid Kong as a boss, which is similar in feel, but not him. The real DK isn't seen until the Donkey Kong Story expansion pack, where he's the focal point of like a 10-hour bonus adventure, which is a ton of extra content and a pretty substantial role. Sure, it's kinda icing on the cake, but I'm down to put it up in pretty savage tier. Donkey Kong Bonanza is shaping up to be the greatest Donkey Kong game. I cannot wait to play it. It's looking like an over-stylized Mario Odyssey where you can demolish anything you want and wreak havoc on these massive open-world terrains. It's not out yet, but I know it's a clear-cut elite. And I'd be remiss to leave out all the spin-offs, your carts, parties, and sports games. But DK's a staple character in 95% of entries in those series, so they'd all go playable but average. Not even gonna bother placing them. And before you go, if you haven't picked up a portable Switch dock yet, now's a better time than ever, because currently they're on sale for just $10 a pop on AccelerateGaming.com. That's the cheapest they've ever been. These make traveling with your Nintendo Switch as easy as can be. It fits into a coin pocket in your jeans and functions the exact same as the big clunky old dock. Go grab one for your friends, kids, cousins, anyone with a Switch, and use code DK50 at checkout to redeem the offer. Everything must go, and the offer won't last long, so scoop them up while you can. And there you have it.